Welcome to Hanging at the Hanagar Bar. I'm Scott.
I'm Candace.
I'm Lariah.
And I'm Lacey. Grab a drink and come hang with us at the Hanagar Bar.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. We are happy to have you back. This week we're going to be talking about Magic Kingdom Episode 2. The last episode we talked about the first half of Magic Kingdom Park. Today we're going to be focusing on Fantasyland, New Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland. Before we get into that, though, let's just remind you to go out and check out our Instagram at Hanging at the Hanagar Bar. We'd love to have you interact with us there and listen in and just tell us what we got right, what we didn't get right. Share your opinions with us. So as we did with the last one, we'll sort of run down a list of all the things that are in Fantasyland first, and then we'll just kind of work our way through a little bit of a discussion there. So Fantasyland has a lot in it. So this is from the fairly recent map, and then I'll check it against the old map just to make sure we're talking about anything that might be temporarily closed. But everything that's open now: Prince Charming's Regal Carousel, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Peter Pan's Flight, It's a Small World, Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid, The Barnstormer, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, Mad Tea Party, The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And then for dining, there's Cinderella's Royal Table, Pinocchio's Village House, Be Our Guest Restaurant, Gaston's Tavern, Storybook Treats, and the Friar's Nook. And then shopping, there's Fantasy Fair and Sir Mickey's. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing anything. There's also a train stop in Fantasyland for the train. Let me see. I don't think we're missing anything else. Oh, Casey Jr. Splash and Soak Station is back in Storybook Circus as well. Pete's Silly Sideshow is back there. I don't know if that's open, will be opening, or if that's gone the way of not being around anymore. But other than that, I think we captured it. Oh, Cheshire Cafe. I don't know if that's still open or not either, or will be opening. So again, I don't know how old this map is that I'm looking at to get some of the older stuff. But the first things that I ran through were definitely open today. We're just trying to make sure we cover COVID things. So Fantasyland, there's a lot to cover here. Where do we want to start?
Could start at the carousel.
Mm-hmm.
None of us have been on it. Candace has been on it. I didn't know that.
Yep.
For your first trip?
My first trip.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it a must-do if you are an adult?
When you know the history of, like, how it all came to be, I think yes. But it's a one and done. For me.
Gotcha.
Unless you can get on Cinderella's horse. And then that's a whole different thing.
Oh.
And you know that it's her horse because there's a golden ribbon woven through the tail.
Well, I kind of want to go on it. I like carousels.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun.
And there's something about the carnival kind of music that's like, it's Disney music, but it's carnival-fied, so it's all like bells and all that. It's fun. It really is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the history behind it, Walt found that exact carousel out in the wild somewhere. Like, it's from New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in New Jersey, and was shipped down to Orlando and restored and all of that kind of thing.
Wow.
So if I ever go on that, like, I'm not a huge carousel person, but I would totally go on it if somebody else wanted to. But we've talked in previous episodes of things that I would push people out of the way for. Not Cinderella's horse, but there's two benches towards the inside where you can just go hang out on a bench and watch the world go by as you watch everybody else ride their horses around. I would push people out of the way to get on those instead of trying to ride a horse.
As long as there wasn't somebody that actually needed the benches.
Right. Maybe.
I would push children out of the way for Cinderella's horse. I'm not going to lie.
I love it.
Do you think as an adult you would be looked down upon for riding an animal on the carousel?
No.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to...
And probably the only reason
one out.
I wouldn't want to ride a horse is because I would look silly trying to get on it.
But it has like a ladder thing.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would still look silly trying to get on a great big fiberglass horse.
Okay.
Okay, you can just imagine me trying to get off of it.
I'll just ride there and make sure you're safe and then video you trying to get off. That's
Thank you.
Or like
There you
parents do
go.
with their kids, you can
Like-
stand like beside the horse, holding onto the pole with one hand,
right.
and your hand on Lariah's back, just to make sure she doesn't.
There.
Fall off.
There's
Might be pretty fast.
And then you can help her off the horse.
Right. Or video her falling off the horse.
Or just push her.
Okay, go that way.
That's funny. Okay, so yes, I think the carousel too would be one of those things I wanna experience it, but it's not anything that I've ever, as we've been going by, said let's do that on this trip. I've never prioritized it, and I'm okay with that.
Well, doesn't it have a pretty good line? I feel like
Sometimes it does.
Like 20, 30
Yeah.
minutes typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for a merry-go-round, basically.
yeah, no.
There's another carousel in Magic Kingdom that I go to first every time, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He's being all clever.
Peter Pan.
What's your thought of that ride?
I like it. It's a classic. And I'm really excited to go through the new queue because I haven't. Because when we rode it on our last trip, that was my second time riding it. And it was during the after hours event. So, we already talked about how they close up the main queue and you just go through the fast pass. I think it's a classic. I don't think it's a must-do every single trip. But again, like Candace said, with the carousel being a must-do, go at least once, I think Peter Pan is that ride. To just do it once. But I kind of think that about mostly every ride, too. Especially the classic ones.
Yeah, I think I got so burnt out on that our first time going on that, Lacey, just because the queue for it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was all kind of wound around outside, and we ended up waiting 75 minutes for a ride that's 4.5 minutes long, and we were in the sun pretty much the whole time. And I didn't think the ride was worth it. But then going on it in the after hours, I thought it was a cute enough attraction, so I would go on it again if I didn't have to wait more than maybe 20 minutes. And also to see the new queue, going through the house and through the Banning house, right? Darling. Why do I keep getting...
You're getting the Banks house from Mary Poppins confused with the Darling's house with Peter Pan.
Yes, and I think I'm trying to throw Hook in there too.
Maybe.
Because I think he goes by Peter Banning, doesn't he?
I watched that movie for the first time like 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I think he goes by Peter Banning. So I think that's where I'm getting messed up there. Because actually, hot take, Hook is my favorite version of the Peter Pan story.
Oh.
Yeah, Robin Williams played Peter Banning. Candace is looking like she doesn't even know me anymore.
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
So yeah, what did you think of Peter Pan's flight, Mariah? Did you like it? The pirate ship floating over London?
I thought it was pretty neat. I definitely, wouldn't wait probably more than 20, maybe 30 minutes just because it's a Disney World original.
It's an
So
OG.
it's pretty important in that aspect. But I didn't get to go through the queue, so I will have not been able to see the old queue.
It was literally ropes on cement.
Yeah.
It's just like a walkway.
And you can't make ropes interesting.
Okay.
Call back to a previous episode.
Well, I would like to see the new queue, and it would be one of those rides where it's like, what do we want to do? Like, kind of just browsing through.
Mhm.
Yeah, seeing if
Fantasyland,
it's like a short wait, then do it.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. The other thing that I think gets overlooked in Fantasyland a lot is actually Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show, and the update that they've made to it is super adorable. I've seen online videos of it. They've put Coco into it, and Donald rides Pepita around the City of the Dead, which just looks adorable.
Yeah.
But that show,
love
it's
Pepita so much.
that show itself is one of my favorite things about Magic Kingdom. Candace, what do you think of PhilharMagic?
I love it. I just think that was one of Disney's first 4D attraction experiences, and I think they did a fantastic job on it.
Yeah. And it's I love it because so many people think that's a Mickey Mouse attraction.
It's not at all.
It has Mickey's name, but it's a Donald Duck attraction.
Yeah, you see Mickey for maybe 5 seconds. Maybe. he's just there and gone. But it's a total Donald attraction. And in true Disney fashion, the entire show building is themed like a concert hall. So the doors that open when you go in to seat have music notes as the handles. And just
That's
those
so
little things that I just love it.
The little things that make Disney Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think of other theme parks, like, some of their rides are really cool, but the theming details that go into a show, basically, like, that kind of, most places would have been like, oh, let's just put regular handles on these doors, but no, these are music notes, and that kind of little detail, I think, to me, feels more very exclusive to Disney that I really appreciate. What about It's a Small World?
I'm torn on this one because Walt developed It's a Small World for the 1964 World's Fair. I'm fine not going on It's a Small World just because that song gets stuck in my head for the rest of the day. And also I have a fear of the ride breaking down and the children coming to life and attacking me.
I don't even think the ride has to break down for you to be attacked by those animatronics. They will chase you out of somewhere. That blink, blink, click, click, blink, click, click, blink, blink, blink. No, that ride, like, I go on it every time because I feel like Candace wants to, and then I think she takes me because I'm pushing her to go on it, and neither one of us really want to be there.
So we'll know for next time we're not going on
Right.
It's a Small World.
I am. It's a must-do for me.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like your favorite ride, where it's just the classic, and I don't enjoy it immensely, but it's classic, and I appreciate it. So.
If nothing else, you can appreciate Mary Blair's artwork and her color patterns and that sort of thing. And it's all very adorable. Yes, it's visually very pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of colors.
And happy and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frightening. I don't know that I find anything pretty about it because I'm too scared about the Family Guy episode where Stewie gets stolen by the Disney Corporation and put into Small World is like,
Oh my god.
I love that because it rings so true to me.
That's like your worst nightmare
Right,
now.
yeah,
You
exactly.
put that thought in your head and you're like, oh god, that would not be cool.
Now, one thing that I do want to experience that I haven't, and again, maybe I'd push children out of the way for this, if you go up to Pinocchio's Village House,
Yes.
you can get food, and there's like 4 or 5 tables that look out over It's a Small World, like the entrance to It's a Small World. And that looks like a really cool experience to me.
Yeah, I want to do that. I heard they have vegan pizzas, so we're definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah, are the pizzas there the same
Puffy dough
pizzas?
Yeah, the like mass-produced, here's a little personal pizza, we're not putting much thought into it, eat it.
But
it's
still.
Pizza at a theme park.
Even bad pizza is good pizza. Unless you work in the office. We are also all big Office fans, so now we're debating Pizza by Alfredo or Alfredo's Pizza Kitchen. What would you rather have? A large amount of good pizza or pretty good pizza or a small amount of great pizza?
Small amount of great pizza.
Oh, it's bad.
It's like eating real bad
of garbage.
Okay, that was our Doug Squirrel moment.
Thank you,
this
Kevin.
Okay, so Candace's favorite moment from any ride in all of Disney World happens in Fantasyland. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid is a fantastic ride. And that fantasticness, there's a word for you, starts from the minute that you enter the queue. Because you get to see Prince Eric's castle. There is a hidden Steamboat Willie, Mickey, in the rocks.
What?
And if you go through the queue, it's just adorable. You're like going through an undersea grotto, basically. And there's like rock work, and then there's this little game with these crabs that stack dishes, and Scuttle's there, and it's a wonderful, wonderful queue. It's a really, really long queue. So if it says that there's a 20-minute wait, most of that's going to be walking through the queue. Honestly.
Taking a walkabout.
Yeah. But my favorite moment of that ride is when your clamshell turns backwards and you go under the sea and they project the waves and the bubbles going up over the clamshell in front of you. And then you get this rush of cold air. That, I don't know. I could sit and go in that ride 10 times in a row just for that moment.
It's so cool. I love that part of the ride. I love that ride, but that part is really, it gives you goosebumps. It's like, ooh, I'm going down, seeing Ariel and Flounder.
And the ride is done so well that you actually feel like you're under the sea.
Yes. Yeah.
And Ursula's terrifying, but that's me.
Yeah, that one's a really good ride. I love that part of the park too, with just all the rocks and the waterfall. It's pretty.
Very well done.
Yeah. Everything ties so well together in Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Like everything there kind of flows perfectly. And everything that doesn't kind of flow perfectly into Fantasyland has been shoved back into like Storybook Circus. So it can more stand alone as kind of that carnival-y, circus-y type atmosphere and be more standalone but still be part of Fantasyland. Yeah.
The first time I was ever at Disney World, Storybook Circus was still Mickey's Toontown Fair. And Mickey's house was back there. Minnie's house was back there. And like you could go meet them back there. And then walking through their house, like everything did something. Like just at random. It was very, very cool.
It sounds cool.
Super adorable.
Was Minnie's house pink?
It's pink and purple.
Okay, because I've seen pictures of that. Is that at Disneyland now?
Yes.
Okay. There were these really short cartoons that would play before some Disney movies that we had on VHS. The one with Pluto getting the paper and there's a piece of gum stuck to it. Do you remember that? When he's like trying to bring the paper in and the gum is stretching. Yeah. So that house reminds me of that little, and I think they're called like Mickey Tunes or something Toon. And then didn't you say it was called Mickey's Toontown? That's, I think, where it came from. I'm not sure. This is me just assuming, but yeah, I don't know. Does that little tune sound familiar to you? No. You would know though.
It's very vaguely familiar, but you just like unlocked
a memory.
A movie memory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
But yeah, and then I remember browsing on Pinterest and I saw the Minnie house, the pink and purple, and it just reminded me of the way they made Mickey's house and that, Lazy Town, the way that they're constructed. It's like that, and it just looks so cool. So hearing that used to be at Disney World and they took it away, that makes me really sad because that'd be cool to see. Yes! Look how fun that looks.
Oh my gosh.
Candace is sharing a picture of what it used to be.
Yeah. That's really sad that they changed that.
Well, for Mickey being the face of Disney, you don't really get to see the big cheese. You don't really get to see a lot of him or Minnie, like as far as like attractions and buildings and stuff. Like he's there, he's there, but I wonder if that was for a reason or something, but
yeah, I don't know. Do you know, Candace?
There's his house.
Do you know why they don't make Mickey a bigger part of Disney World, other than like hidden Mickeys and Mickey shapes everywhere?
I really don't. Like when they first set out the plans for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway over in Hollywood Studios, they pointed out that Mickey and Minnie didn't really have an attraction.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they don't. Why?
Do you think it's a thing where he's supposed to be like the owner of Disney World, that's his place, and that you're not supposed to see him that much, just like how, I don't know, of any person, mayor or anything like that, they kind of just hide away and do the back work or whatever. Does that make any sense where you don't see him as much because he's out working on stuff for the parks. Maybe.
Well, and if you think about it, there's one Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
So if you see him in Town Square, in City Hall, he can't also be back at home.
Right.
In Toontown.
That makes sense.
Okay. Good theory, though. That's a good theory.
Bring Toontown back, just leave Mickey in City Hall. And we all can safely assume that he just goes home when the park closes.
Okay.
I actually like the idea of Toontown, like the Disneyland version of Toontown, where I'm probably just old enough that this appeals to me, like the Roger Rabbit Toontown. Which is Disney IP.
Yeah.
Because they have it in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So, none of us have been on the Mad Tea Party, right?
No.
Any desire?
No.
Do you like spinny rides?
No.
Not like that.
I don't know. I would go on it once. It reminds me of the
the swirling saucers.
Yes, those kind of rides are just kind of, I don't know. If there was a short line and we were just looking to waste time, I would go on it.
Yeah, there's so many of those attractions that feel like they're time fillers. Like, this is not why you come to Disney. You don't come to Disney to do the Mad Tea Party.
Right.
But it's still fun if you do it.
Well, and if you think about it, the cool thing about Disney is that they make sure that every age group has something for them. So obviously the teacups are not for us. They're for small children, which makes sense because they're not going to go over and do Space Mountain,
Right.
And which is fine. We don't need to go on them because kind of missed our chance. We're not 5 years old. So.
And Candace is nervous to go on that because she doesn't want to go with me because she knows I'll make it spin as fast as humanly possible.
I'll go on that with you.
Yeah. Because when you get into the teacup, and then I'll let you go, Candace, there's sort of a bench in the teacup, and then there's a wheel in the middle. Okay. So it will just whip. If you don't touch that wheel, it'll spin a little bit, but it just sort of runs around like the saucers do. Mm-hmm. But that wheel in the middle lets you control how fast your cup spins.
Candace.
So like Disneyland, when I was 11 years old or whatever, my brother and I went on that, and I didn't feel good for like 3 hours after we got off of it because all he did was make us spin and spin and spin, and I just loved it. But when it stopped, you're like, oh God.
And here's a little Mad Tea Party trivia for you. The lavender-colored teacup spins faster than all the other ones.
Ooh.
Whether you're touching the middle thing or not.
So how do you know this?
I read.
Okay. Good. Good. You just read that somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
In one of your books?
Of my stories of Walt Disney World.
So they did that on purpose, or was it just on accident?
I don't know if it's like an engineering thing because I don't know where that's positioned, but it may be like a pivot point for the whole. I don't know. I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. And then speaking of pushing children out of the way for things, as we go through rides, a ride we haven't talked about yet today is the Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
That queue, like, the ride is super adorable. I love the ride. I think I like the queue just as much as the ride, though.
I do, too.
I like the little garden things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, the little blocks that you get to play with as you go along.
Like the bees?
Yeah.
Hello. It's like preschool all over
again.
It is. But
it's socially acceptable for adults to play, too.
Exactly. Thank you.
And then for those that don't know what the honey wall is, there is these electronic walls that look like they're just flowing honey. But as you swipe away the honey, there's a story page behind it. So there's pictures and stories, but you can go in there and write your name and see your name kind of run down the wall or get covered up by more honey. I've let people walk past me so I could continue playing with that honey wall.
Yeah.
I just love it. And then the ride itself.
Adorable.
Getting in the little honey pot and just going through, and the homage to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride that was in there before, I think is just super adorable.
I wish I was around for that ride.
You can go in California.
Really? They have
It's
it
still
there?
in Disneyland.
That's the other thing we'll have to consider is maybe, like, as much as we love Disney World, maybe our next group trip is to California.
I'm down. I feel like we need it for research.
Right. If you'd like to support this adventure.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Mm-hmm. California is just so much more expensive for what you get than Florida is, though. That's why we always have that trouble making that decision to go to California. The cost for 3 days in California is the same as a week in Florida. So, yeah.
It is what it is, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we haven't talked about attraction-wise in Fantasyland is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Thoughts on that?
It's a fun ride. I love it.
It's a fun ride.
Yeah.
I think it's a good starter coaster.
Yeah.
Not starter like Barnstormer starter, but starter coaster in not Space Mountain.
Yes.
Or not Big Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, it's smooth and it's fun. It's fun for adults, fun for kids. The mine part of it is my favorite, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. It is so magical.
And I love how the coaster cars like swing.
Yeah.
Like mine cars.
Yes, that's very on brand because
Yes.
you're on a mine train. You're not on an actual
Roller
train.
coaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like the queue for that one too, when it's all open.
Yes.
Right.
I'm surprised that ride is the newest ride.
For now.
So far, because...
Well, I just meant... Hey. No, I just meant because of how old that movie is. That they... Well, actually, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
But, so
Snow White's Scary
just
Adventure
ignore
was
me.
there before.
That's right.
And talk about terrifying. So, the first time I was ever at Disney World, I went with my brother and his family, and my oldest nephew was, I think, 5 or 6 at the time. He was my ride buddy, so we would sit together. My nieces were like 18 months old, and so my brother and then sister-in-law would watch the twins, and I had my nephew with me. And we were in the front of one of the cars on Snow White's Scary Adventure. Well, part of it was you got to watch the Wicked Queen transform into the old hag. And how she did it was she was standing in front of the magic mirror like this, and then she would whip around, and she was the hag.
Oh my god.
But they bring the car like right up on it, and it terrified him.
Oh no.
And he was like buried in my side for the remainder of the ride. And I felt so bad. But I mean, it was dated and that kind of thing. And it just needed an update. I know they just updated the one in California because that's still there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Disney is really good. Like when you just mentioned the handing, Mr. Toad handing the deed to Owl in the Winnie the Pooh ride.
Right.
Some of the vultures that were part of Snow White's Scary Adventure are actually on the mine train on the top of one of the hills.
Yes. Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so cool. I also like the end of the ride when you're in the little cottage and Snow White is inside and then the old hag is out there trying to give her the apple. Love it.
And if you don't pay attention, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's so cool. I'm a big Snow White fan, mostly because I love the old hag because she was so scary when I was little. I was so scared.
Scary. She's scary now.
She is very scary now. Yeah, but she like frightened me as a child where I was like, "Oh my god, what is that?" And that's why I love that movie because it's so dark and creepy.
Yeah, you will never convince me that you go to Disneyland or Disney World or Disneyland for roller coasters.
No.
You go there for the stories they tell. None of the roller coasters in Disney World are like high octane roller coasters. The closest one we talked about when we were talking about Hollywood Studios is Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Other than that, you go there for the stories and the details. And so many people, like, we've joked about how I like to look like a badass and just hold one hand up around corners and that kind of stuff while I'm holding on for dear life. But so many people are more interested in raising their hands and screaming through an attraction than they are noticing all the little things that are around them. And that, my old heart, it just does me in.
Well, and we were even talking about this a little while ago. The roller coasters are set up so that there is always something to look at, and you get some amazing views of the parks if you get yourself out of looking ahead and look off to the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I need to be better about that because I'm so focused on where I might die next that that I don't look. I mean, I see details about things, but it's usually only when I feel safe. And when I'm flying down a hill at 80 miles an hour, I don't usually feel very safe.
Right. That's too funny. Okay, so before we leave Fantasyland, we're doing okay on time for this one. Let's talk about a couple different dining experiences in Fantasyland. So the first would be Gaston's Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Gaston's Tavern?
LeFou's brew is revolutionary.
Yeah.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a must-do for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're planning an episode here in a few weeks about all things vegan and vegetarian at Disney World. So is LeFou's brew something that you can get vegan?
Yes. Yeah. I
Okay.
had it when we were there.
Okay.
I don't think that the
The
foam is vegan. I don't believe that, but you can get it without. I
Without the
could be
foam.
wrong. Let me do some research.
You can talk about it when Lacey and
Yeah.
Lariah are going to do that episode, since they're the plant-based eaters in the group. We'll let them talk through that. So yeah, make sure you mention that one for sure,
Mhm.
because that's good food. And their cinnamon rolls there. We've not had one, but they look delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And their macaroons.
They might be a little small, but I'm sure they're delicious.
I'm sure they're delicious. And that's an inside joke of this group that we won't go into today. But yeah, the tiny macaroons at Gaston's Tavern. The other one is Candace and I have eaten all 3 meals at this restaurant, and Lacey and Lariah have eaten breakfast at this restaurant. Be Our Guest, which is in the Beast Castle. Good atmosphere, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You go there for the atmosphere, not the food.
Mm-hmm.
The food is just okay at every meal. Back in the before times, lunch was probably their best meal. The quick service lunch was
Best value for sure.
best value for sure. The dinner was okay. It was good, probably overpriced for what it is, but you got to meet the beast.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said beach. You get to meet the beast. And I've said before that I will forgive mediocre food for a good character interaction or good surroundings. That's dinner at Be Our Guest. What did you guys think of Be Our Guest?
All right. I've been thinking about this actually because I liked it there, but it felt weird, and this is the reason why. So when we went for breakfast, I felt like we were at school lunch in a gym because they're just long tables. Everyone tries to sit where you can. You sit by people you don't know, and it's so terribly loud. Whereas when you think of the Beast Castle, you think quiet. And I'm not sure if that's how the seating is at dinner time or not, but I think if we were all spread out a little bit more, and if it was more of a quiet environment with like music playing, I would have liked it a little bit more. But I felt like their mission was just to get you in and get you out.
Get as many people in and out as possible.
And I will say a lot of that does have to do with the fact that we chose to sit in the West Wing. So we were dealing with the thunder and the lightning and the different sort of scary elements of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Scott mentioned that we've had all 3 meals there. When we were there for dinner, we sat in the main ballroom.
It was loud.
It was loud because it's a huge room.
Mm-hmm.
We were just at a table for 2, so there wasn't somebody like
Right there.
all up in the business, which I appreciated, and we got to meet the beast. But I will say probably my favorite experience at Be Our Guest was for lunch, and we got to go sit in the Rose Gallery, and it was quiet.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It was just kind of a nice, relaxing vibe and great food, I thought.
And they should almost set it up that way. They should tell you that. If you want a quieter experience, go over to the Rose Gallery. If you want a like banquet style experience, go to the ballroom. If you want action, go into the West Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how it feels to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is just 3 distinct dining rooms with 3 distinct different atmospheres.
Mm-hmm.
See, my thought is, though, they can see why that Be Our Guest is such a huge hit. Because anybody who is a Disney fan obviously wants to go to Be Our Guest. Because it's Beauty and the Beast, it's Beast Castle. So what that tells me is that maybe Disney needs to start opening more restaurants that represent movies instead of just doing rides, like how they used to have Pizza Planet. I don't know why they took that out, because
they serve bad pizza.
Improve the pizza.
Exactly, that's what I would say too.
Right, but that's the thing is, just think about if they opened a place. I don't know. I can't like Ratatouille. Why don't they open up a Remy's? I know there's one on the cruise ship. But why don't they open that instead of making it into a ride, which I'm excited about. But you can, I don't know, that just means to me that, like, maybe they should start opening up these restaurants like that, you know?
That's a good point. In fact, I think I would probably appreciate the IP introduction into Epcot if it was more like that. So that if you go to the France Pavilion, you can eat at Gastos and actually have it be, is it Gusteau's?
Yeah.
Okay. Eat at Gusteau's rather than have the same trackless ride system that the last 5 rides that they've opened have been, putting something that I need to stop with the IP in Epcot. But yes, I think I would appreciate it more if it was a restaurant and not so much rides.
Yeah, and if it was like a Gusteau's, whether that be in somewhere in Magic Kingdom or in Epcot, they have pictures of what Gusteau's looked like. They can watch the movie and see exactly what Gusteau's dining room looked like.
Yeah.
They could do it. And, I mean, the ballroom and Be Our Guest.
Yeah.
Carbon copy of the movie.
How cool. Okay, so to do a balance of both, how cool would it be that you go on Remy's Ratatouille adventure and you go through that whole, you're chasing around the kitchen on your little mouse thing, and when you're done with that, you go to your lunch reservation at Gusteau's.
Now
Or
that I can
Gusteau's.
get behind. Like a small little ride to
Yeah,
get you?
well, not even a ride to get you to the restaurant, but you like a ride that is, they could do what they did with Remy's Ratatouille adventure. But then they have the restaurant that goes along with that theme that is Gusteau's, where you go for fine French dining. You don't have to do the ride, you don't have to do the restaurant, but they're themed so well together.
Sort of like the Jungle Cruise and
Skipper Canteen.
See, it's all coming together. Disney executives, if you're listening, we're available to hire. We will relocate. Thank you for listening.
And honestly, we will work for Disney trips.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to, okay.
I would work for Disney trips.
Yes. But yes, I think you're onto something there, because I think, like I said, I would appreciate that more than just plopping another ride.
Yeah.
Someplace.
I'm just missing the more original rides.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, where I feel like they've just completely stopped that, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump into Tomorrowland. We'll run our way through Tomorrowland, the things they're not run. We'll talk about what we need to talk about. So Tomorrowland, the attractions: Tomorrowland Speedway, Space Mountain, Astro Orbiter, the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover presented by Alamo, Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, the new, the soon-to-open Tron Light Cycle Run. Dining, you have Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe, Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies, Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company, the Lunching Pad, Tomorrowland Terrace Restaurant, and then shopping, you have Star Traders and Tomorrowland Light and Power.
Ooh, fancy.
Let me just make sure we're not missing out on anything from an old map. Stitch's Great Escape is closed. Did they close Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor for good?
No.
So that might be coming back.
It's back.
It's back? Okay, so Monsters Inc. Laugh Room or Laugh Floor is there. Yep, and that's it for Tomorrowland. So I'm just two of like I could go into Magic Kingdom and just go to Tomorrowland for two things and then walk back out and it would have been a good day for me. Ride the People Mover, ride Carousel of Progress. I would be happy with a trip to Magic Kingdom if those were the only two things that I got to do.
That's interesting.
I love Tomorrowland, but I would never say that. I couldn't do without Jungle Cruise and Winnie the Pooh. You were just saying how much you like
That's
that?
true.
Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion. Yeah. I do love Tomorrowland, though. It's like a whole other world compared to all of the other lands in Magic Kingdom. And it's just so neat. And if you're super nerdy like me who appreciates the 90s, 80s technology, it just feeds my little heart, my little nerdy heart. I love it. I love the bridge going over to Tomorrowland.
Yes.
From the hub.
Yep. I think
Yeah,
that's
I think
super
and
cool.
those have just recently been redone.
Oh, nice.
When they expanded the hub. They redid those, and I think they did a really
Yeah,
good
they
job.
look really cool. I
Yeah.
think I've seen cool pictures of those at like sunset
Ooh.
with like the circle with the sun in the. It looks really cool.
Yeah. L'Oreal, why don't you walk us through your very favorite ride in Tomorrowland, which is the Astro Orbiter?
My favorite ride of all time, not at all.
Not at all.
That ride is just bad.
Sorry, there was a child screaming outside our house and our windows are open. So
I think somebody got pushed out of the way.
there's a honey wall out there.
Well, so only Lacey and I have ridden.
Yeah.
Rode that ride. Ridden. Okay. Thank you. It was just kind of a spur of the moment after hours.
Well, no, we
thing.
heard this girl saying, "Oh my gosh," she was talking to someone
yeah,
else,
that's right.
hyping it up, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is the best ride.
She's
You
like-
get the great view of the park. There's like no line." And so Laura and I were listening, like eavesdropping, and we were like, "Well, shoot, let's go on this cool ride
Well, first of all, you have to ride an elevator up there.
that does not have air conditioning."
No
so it
air
is-
conditioning.
Yeah.
I'm not about to go in there with sweaty people,
Big box of steak.
including myself.
It
Like,
did not smell great.
and you go all the way up there, and you get put in this metal contraption.
Had sandpaper for a seat.
It's basically
And a
just
Velcro
like
strap.
a Velcro strap. It's basically just a low-key fair ride, is how I would describe it. It
Parts are flying.
scared like
I thought I was gonna take off.
it scared the crap out of me because it's basically one of those rides where you sit in one of the spaceship carts things and then you go up and down.
Well, it's like
you
Dumbo
spin.
and the
Yeah.
flying carpets, but faster.
yeah, and when you're going around, like the side was like digging into me, and I was like, "Ow, this isn't fun, and it hurts."
Yeah. It was, you're just like at an angle, and you're like,
That's what she said.
But yeah, just everybody should just skip that ride.
the view of the park, you don't even,
No.
it's just blurry.
No, they could have made it cool
Yeah.
for an amazing view, but
Yeah.
you're going so fast you can't see anything,
It's
and
uncomfortable.
it's not even a good view.
No.
Like, not even
That's why you
close.
ride the People Mover.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ride the People Mover during fireworks sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that's really cool.
Except you would have to time it so carefully,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because otherwise you'd miss like half of.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the People Mover. That's a great ride.
Yeah.
Talk
Another one of
about-
my favorites.
Oh, it's so stupid good. Like, it's called the People Mover, and I love that name. It's just so hilarious
It's
to
so
me.
cute.
It
and
tells you
it's-
everything you need to know.
Exactly.
It moves people. That's it.
Right, I know. Simple name, and it's fun, and you get to go into other rides. Oh,
Yeah, you go through Space Mountain, around Carousel of Progress,
Over Buzz Lightyear.
over Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, and I think what I like about that one, I've been thinking about why I like People Mover so much. And I think some of it is, number one, it's a nice way to just get off your feet for 15 or 20 minutes. But there's so much history in that ride. Like, you go into that one dark room and there's Walt's original vision for Epcot. So as much as people will tell you, hey, Walt's flipping in his grave because of what they're doing to Epcot. No, ride the People Mover and see what Walt really envisioned for the People Mover. It has nothing to do with what Epcot is today. He was flipping in his grave in 1981 because it's nothing like what he wanted for Epcot, which is fine. Logistically, that he was way ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But and throughout that ride, it's, hey, look at this. This is what this is. This is a futuristic way of travel. This is all. That's what I think I like about it. Is it feels historic.
I agree.
It's very nostalgic.
Yeah, that's the right word. Not historic, nostalgic.
Yeah.
I like that about that. You go into Tomorrowland thinking future, but it sort of takes you back to everything that you love about what Disney has been.
I love it just because it is so ridiculously cheesy that it's just like, I don't even care. This is amazing. You get to see some great areas of the park. You get pretty much a little tour of Tomorrowland without having to walk the whole thing. You get to see inside Space Mountain. It's just, I don't know. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. And then we mentioned Carousel of Progress, which is by far my favorite attraction in all of Walt Disney World. I don't know why. It's one of those things. It's an OG Walt thing that he built it for the World's Fair. It's been in both Disneyland and Disney World, and it's the longest running stage show ever produced. And for those that don't know, it's a carousel because the theater actually moves around the stage. And it needs to be updated, but I don't want it to be updated. They need to redo the animatronics, but I don't want them to redo the animatronics. Everything about that ride to me is perfect. And I don't know why I think that.
And it's funny because the first time that I took you on that ride, I'm like, you got to see this. Because, again, it's a Walt OG. And, like, yeah, you got to check this out. She's like, okay, if we have to. And after the first showing, he's just like, yeah, we need to do that again. And now every time it's like, we got to go. We got to go on Carousel of Progress. And, like, shirts and stuff for your office and everything. And I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, I just love that. What's the younger generation think of Carousel of Progress?
I liked it. It's a must-do for me. I'm also that nerd that loves, the backstory of stuff, and just knowing that Walt had a hand in that, I will go on it. It's not boring to me at all. There's some funny parts in it, and I was going to say something else, but I like the classic OG stuff. I like the classic OG stuff. I really do. So, if you ever think that you're forcing me on that ride, you're not, because I like it.
What'd you think?
I really enjoy it. I'm the same way where I love, like, informational rides and, like, learning rides. I'm a nerd. But, yeah, it's a fun ride, completely different than anything I've ever been on before. It's super cute and super fun. And, yeah, I love going on that ride.
Yeah, and maybe it's just I'm an American history guy. Like, I love, like, American history, and to see, like, the tale of from 1900 onwards to current day and how much things have changed. And you start off when they don't have electric lighting to moving to a scene where they have extension cords run all over to run overhead lighting to the last scene where they're talking to their oven. So, yeah, the tomorrow that they're talking about is now 15 or 20 years old, which is why that last scene needs to be updated. But just that whole American history thing, I think that's what gets me. I'm kind of nostalgic for that.
It's more that this is where we've been.
Right.
And this is where we're going to be.
Right.
15 years ago.
Right. So when we publish this episode, we have to share pictures of our time on Space Ranger Spin.
Yes.
I don't know that we've put those on our Instagram yet, but we have to put those up, just because some of our facial expressions are absolutely classic or maybe even the videos that we have. Like the one, who are our ride buddies for that one? So maybe the video of you and I, the one with we can do that one. That I like Space Ranger Spin too. That's another one though that I think needs to be updated.
I think it needs to have more of the same technology that Midway Mania has.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's real hard to see where you're shooting.
Yeah.
And those guns aren't, they don't feel as responsive to me as maybe they should.
You don't even use the gun. All you do is spin the cars around.
No. She had her head in the game. It was very intimidating and very scary.
So maybe it's just with me that you just spin the car around and around and around and around. Like, how do you expect me to get galactic superhero if you just keep spinning the car around?
That's my plan. Yes, the cars spin all the way around, just FYI. And it's real fun to spin if you get stopped in the middle of the ride. You just sit and spin.
So the only ride that you wish would stop, breakdown.
Right, yes. In the middle of, so you can just sit and spin.
Yeah, and actually I feel kind of like a terrible influence because when we were there, not with y'all, but the time before, we were on that ride and it like shut down in the middle. I suppose to load.
Yeah, I think it was a short stop, so I think they were loading somebody's wheelchair or something.
Yeah. But, so I started the car spinning and we were just going around and around and around. And there was a little kid and her mom in the car directly behind us. She's like, I want to spin. And she grabbed the control and started spinning the car. And the mom's like, no. Like, sorry, but bye-bye.
We are bad influences. It's what we do.
We'll push children out of the way.
That's right. Okay, as we wrap up this episode a little bit, so we've not done a lot of dining or snacking in Tomorrowland.
Not a ton.
And part of the reason for that is Cosmic Rays is really your only restaurant in Tomorrowland, and I have no desire. Do you guys know what Cosmic Rays is all about with Sunny Eclipse and his galactic backup band that's not really there?
The Space Angels?
Yeah, the Space Angels.
Yeah, we want to go there for the experience.
Yeah. Well, y'all do that and let us know what you think. We'll be somewhere else.
You two can go to the Skipper Canteen.
Yeah, we'll go do that, and then you eat quick service bad hamburgers and listen to Sunny Eclipse.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah. Well, live it up.
I like that. Probably.
We'll meet at Joffrey's cart.
There we go. Well, I think in our last recording that we couldn't use, we thought it would be really funny to go in there a little tipsy.
Yeah.
I think that would be funny.
I want to dance with one of the Space Angels.
Hey, where are those Space Angels? Where are those voices coming from?
Sir.
Where are your backup singers? I hear them, I can't see them. That's too funny. Okay, anything else that we're coming to the end of overall a tour around Magic Kingdom that took 2 episodes and darn near 2 hours, which is fine. It's a big park. There's lots of things to do. You think Epcot's your favorite park, right?
It is.
Magic Kingdom is by far your favorite park. Animal Kingdom's your new kind of favorite?
I have 2.
I think Magic Kingdom is my favorite park. Lariah, which is your favorite? Because this is also the wrap-up of a tour of all 4 parks.
Yeah, it's a very, very hard decision, but I think Magic Kingdom is probably my favorite.
Yeah, and we talked about it in a previous episode. Magic Kingdom is one of those, if you don't go, even if it's not your favorite park, if you don't go, you feel like you're missing out on something.
Yeah,
yeah.
Totally
because
agree.
Magic Kingdom is Disney World. Mm-hmm. So that's why we saved this one for last. It's been an absolutely fun conversation. We're glad to have had you along with us. Interact with us on Instagram again. Let us know what you think. What are the things that we didn't talk about that you want us to talk about? Are there opinions that you don't share or opinions that you agree with? Just let us know on Instagram. We'd love to hear you interacting with us.
In addition to that, please let us know what you'd like us to talk about in upcoming episodes. We do have some ideas, but if there's something that you want us to share our opinions on, just drop us a note over at Instagram and we will add it to the list.
Perfect. Yep. And remember, there's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
See you real soon.